Give $50, okay? It's for your education. Just collect all that cash.
That would be some shit.
It's free. All right, no. Tomorrow, we can take practice B for med surge. I'm a little wary about it just because.
It's the 4th of July.
No.
You're gonna have 2 weeks to work on
But
it.
we have 2 weeks to turn around.
Because I need to make sure that I have enough time to finish immunology, that's why. But we should have enough time. Like if we spend 2 hours on it, break, 2.5 hours to cover rheumatoid, SLE, gout. We should have enough time.
What if we just like do the
And we
lecture
have
if we
2
got
weeks.
time
But
to
then
do
when
it?
we would turn in the template.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you would
Do
have
it.
2 weeks to turn in the templates.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, I've been telling
Don't
him
skip
that
lunch.
since
So hold on.
Enjoy our break.
No, because
have to
I'm
work on
going
it.
on
You still
vacation
have
this
to work
weekend.
on
I'd rather just take 2 weeks.
Get all this prep done.
Yeah, we can do them, but just.
If you don't want to do it this week, don't do it. The ones who do can.
Yeah.
Right. And
That
that's
essentially is what it is. And if in your mind, yeah, you don't want to do it this week because you're like, I'm not going to do the templates. Next. Hence my point as to why I have no sympathy when you're complaining about the amount of templates. Because even if I give you more time, you don't take advantage of it. Like that's the reason why the administration was so hard on me. They're like, why are you giving 2 weeks time when we see on ATI that none of you access it to begin with until like the last 3 days regardless?
Not
You thought we
everyone.
didn't know?
Not everyone.
Not everybody, you're right.
But most of us.
But most people don't even open their practice B or A. In this case, we took A. Y'all don't even open it until the last few days.
That's a lot.
That,
So it's like,
wait, you're
You're
saying last few
complaining
days,
about
you
time,
only
but
got
you're
a
not even
week.
on
That
there?
means a
I
few
don't know.
days. Armando, but like, you have 7 days, that's a few days already. What's a few days before?
I know, and then we have 2 12 hours.
We're taking care of
Seriously, like, what's the
Alright. So let's take a vote.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. What's happening
Hold
tomorrow?
on, let me specify. So I don't want you guys to make an ill decision. We can take it tomorrow, and the due date of your templates will still be like the day, I think it's the day before your proctor exam. So you have to turn it in that morning of, sorry, the night before. So you'll have basically 2 weeks for templates, or you can wait to take it until next week and the due date still stands. And if you do vote for tomorrow, I want you to fully and consciously understand, I want you to look into my eyes right now,
Which one?
that at no point ever again in this program, not in OB-PEDS, not in your 420 when you need to do templates, at no other point do you have such an extensive timeline to do templates. Do you get that?
Unless we get lucky.
Okay? There's always only 1 week. That is what's required. If I even hear you, well, for practice B, we had 2 weeks.
How many times have we had to deal with this?
These windows are supposed to be break proof, and I'm gonna disprove that with you. Okay?
Do it.
Everybody understand?
I want to see you.
Yes. That's true.
Lecture first if we got time.
I believe, yeah, we should probably just do that. We'll start off with lecture tomorrow morning, and if we have 2 hours to spare, we'll do that. But if we're slowing down, we haven't covered all the material necessary for the quiz, then we won't take it and your date still stands.
So that
Can you
means
take
people
it at
need to
home?
calm down on the question, right?
They only did that for the mental
Story.
health.
Can we just
I think,
No.
Yeah, that's what I just asked.
I think it's fine. I mean, we managed to get it done right now for a week's time, so it doesn't really make a difference.
That's true. That's why we'll do lecture first.
And if we have time, we do. And if not, who cares?
I want the 2 weeks.
I want the 2 weeks. I don't feel it.
Okay, then no side conversations tomorrow?
So let's get a vote just to begin with.
I said, hey, that applies to me.
Hey, answer the question.
Yeah, y'all too loud. If you wish to take it tomorrow, raise your hand.
Losers.
Naya!
Okay, put your hands down. And if you don't want to take it tomorrow, raise your hand.
I think y'all are outnumbered.
Yeah, 4 to like 30 seconds. Alright, so if we have time tomorrow, we'll take it.
Right.
Moving on to this. Another fun fact, as Carla was inputting the grades, she looked over the question analysis too, and she pointed out to me, and this is what I mean by, again, trying to do it with intent and purpose, not just to complete stuff, okay? You know that the math question was on your assignment for homeworks, right? Like a few weeks ago, that you all 100% on? Okay. So if when you guys do your homework, make sure that you do it, again, with intent and purpose, honesty to yourself about whether you understand the material or not. And if you don't just complete it or do it if that way if you want, but you should do what? Follow up. Ask Carla or myself to explain something that you don't understand. Because again, it's only gonna help you for your future either way. Okay? So we'll continue on that. Make sure you brush up on your dosage cal. Don't let it be the reason of why you either fail the exit or the NCLEX without the dosage cal. Because I have seen it, now granted it was only one person. I have seen one dude that couldn't pass because of the dosage cal on the NCLEX. I don't know
But you said he
why.
had dyslexia, right, or something?
No, he was doing the formula wrong.
Oh, yeah, that, so. Something he said.
Just say something.
Well, imagine, that's what I'm saying, he's just flipped, I think he had flipped it.
Yeah, but
That's
what's the
all.
numbers or something?
I wanna
Yeah,
know why
but you guys are doing the correct formula, I assume, and it can still take you out, it's not even a thing of, the point is it's still wrong. His was an easy fix though, you just have to invert it. But if you have the correct formula, and there's still difficulty, you need to practice, you need to understand how to correctly put each one. You can plug and play, like what I call it, but when you read the question, you should be able to understand what's the dose, like what are you giving, and then what you have, like the quantity, and the H is, the Q is the quantity that it's in, whether it's a liquid or a tab. So as long as you can identify within the question, you'll be fine. But don't just like try to put it without reading the question. You should identify, like, this is what I'm giving, this is what I have, and the quantity that it's in. You should be able to identify those three concepts. And that way, no matter how they flip the question, you can still do it. Because I've done that before where, you know how it says, the nurse is preparing to administer 25 milligrams, and on hand, right, or whatever they have, 25 in 5 mLs? I've done it the opposite way. A nurse has available 25 per 5 milliliters, and the nurse is preparing to administer, I just flipped the question and then it was wrong again. But it's the same question, it's just I told you what you have on hand first.
They put one.
No, well, I just made up the numbers, but it was flipped. So just make sure you're able to analyze the question. Okay? Alright. Passive, artificial. You have to know these 4 terms, and you have to know how they work. And I'll explain. 4 types of immunity. Now, active can also translate to your own body is creating. Or generating antibodies.
No, that's passive.
While passive, you do not create antibodies. You receive them instead. Active is also long-lasting, while passive is short-term. So, when you develop a form of active immunity, it means your own body, your B cells, are now producing antibodies. Okay? But if you have passive immunity, it means someone or something gave you immunity cells, right, like immunoglobulins, but you do not create them. Hence, in a short period of time, like a few months, you're not going to have them anymore. They're gone, they're used up, right? They're dead. But in active, it's long term because your body can produce them. So you continue to produce them, or should you need to, when you face the same infection, your body can quickly produce them because you have memory B cells that quickly respond. Okay? And there are 4 types. So you have 2 types of active and 2 types of passive. And it's kind of like what it sounds like. Either you're naturally acquiring this type of immunity or you're artificially acquiring this type of immunity. So in active natural, examples of this is when you get sick or are exposed to the antigen. Right? You just come in contact. You get sick, somebody here sneezed and got the people around them sick, right? They were naturally exposed by just living life. You went out, touched something, touched right, blah, blah, or around a lot of situations, used the wrong hand, right? That's it. Now, since you got sick, you got this infection, your body will now produce antibodies to fight it. And next time you face it, it'll be either less or you're not even gonna get it. The same thing can happen with active artificial, but in this one, you are artificially given the antigen. You're not exposed to it. The examples of this are immunizations, right? Vaccines. Okay? So in this case, you're not naturally being exposed to it, you're artificially being given that antigen, a weakened version, a live version, so that you can then come in contact with the organism, and now your body's gonna develop a response to it. When you think about it, it's pretty ingenious, like to have figured that out.
They figured out during the war.
With smallpox.
They cut it and then started affecting children.
Started infecting the children so that they can develop immunity to it. Somebody noticed it. Just like antibiotics were discovered on a lot of things were just discovered on accident when you think about it.
Accident?
The antibiotics, somebody left out mold. And they realized that the bacterial growth wouldn't grow on the mold because it would resist it. So hence, penicillin is just that organism dissected, right, and then synthesized to make it pure.
Not the shaking head is crazy. It's just sad.
Make sense? Now, passive natural, so how do you get past immunity?
You can get it from mothers, like breastfeeding child, or
We shouldn't say pregnancy, we should say placental, right? From the placenta or breast milk. This gives children mother's immunity, right? She has immunoglobulins, it's packed to, how about the child? Because they don't have an immune system, her immunoglobulins in the breast milk are circulating within the baby, giving it immunity, or helping it at least. Which is another question to bring up as we slowly go into OBP, that it's, it's not uncommon that at some point, especially if you have multiple kids, obviously people don't talk about it, that's why we don't really know about it. But you realize how, like, out of 5 kids that you have, if you have 5 kids and all of them grow into adulthood pretty healthy, that's pretty miraculous. Because a lot of people lose in miscarriages, right? Or at early or stillbirth. It's not
Rates are
uncommon,
going
it's just we don't talk about it,
The rates are also going up.
okay? Passive artificial is
They get an injection, they get a
immunoglobulins.
in the shot.
This is also an injection.
But it already has the immunoglobulins inside.
It already has immunoglobulins inside,
That's so straight.
or an antivenom. An antivenom, right? Horses can resist certain venoms of snakes. So the horses, right, can get infected or not infected, like altered by the venom. They'll produce antibodies to fight it, and then they extract the immunoglobulins from the horse,
And they give them.
and they produce the venom-resisting antidote. That way, when you get bitten, you get immunoglobulins.
And you're looking.
Okay? Or some people mentioned it, right? During COVID, people that were starting to develop resistance or fight off COVID started becoming trials for, again, getting the immunoglobulins and giving it to people so that they can help them fight it off too. So do we get it? Now, the questions on ATI usually relate to, like, they'll give you a scenario. The baby's drinking breast milk, the mother passed it on to the placental barrier. Like, they'll give you the examples I just gave you, and then they'll just ask you to name
Which
the
one?
type of immunity that it is. Is it naturally, passive natural, passive artificial, active artificial? You have to be able to identify the kind of immunity. Or, like the other ones, so you have your skin, your gastric acid, what kind of immunity is that? Innate immunity. Make sense? B cells and T cells, what kind of immunity do they generate? And how? Okay, so what we've covered today is all relevant to that. Types of immunity, how the cells work, what each cell is for, parasitic infections, allergies, the rest are bacterial and viral infections, phagocytosis, what a shift to the left will indicate, who's at high risk of infection, their neutrophil count, passive and artificial. Yes.
So I'm still kind of confused with the active artificial and the passive artificial. Can you kind of describe like a scenario for the active artificial? Like,
What's that?
can you kind of give a scenario of the active artificial, like how that would work?
Active artificial?
Yeah, and then
You're,
compare it to the passive.
it's just that you're not naturally being exposed to it. Again, you're gonna get like, for example, vaccine or immunization. But your body is still what's gonna respond. So your own body still produces your own antibodies. You just didn't naturally come across it. Like, I didn't walk in life one day and just get that disease.
So when you get, like, let's say you give an injection to someone who has HIV and then you prick yourself by accident, you would get, that would count as active artificial? Like, would you get it?
No, because there's no immunity towards it.
Oh.
You're infected.
Yeah.
It's not an immune response. They're just
What about,
becoming
like,
infected with the disease.
Are the rest of you now? Would that be the same?
Again, so then you don't build immunity from them though. You get an infection from these things. Now, if you were to get that infection, let's say from a rusty nail, and by some miracle you do survive, then you develop natural active because you naturally, like, this was an accident. It wasn't artificially given to you. It wasn't an injection of vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you just accidentally or in life happen to be exposed to something and you survive it, or again, you develop immunity, then it's natural. But if you're going to, like, for example, a doctor's office, receiving an infusion, receiving something artificial, synthetic, it's artificial,
Like the flu shot, right?
like a flu shot.
Okay.
Passive artificial is the antibody itself. I'm not giving you a flu shot for you to develop a resistance. I'm giving you immunoglobulins to fight off the flu that you're currently already infected with,
So a cure, basically.
in a sense. Hence, like, I'm not giving you a vaccine for the venom, you already have the venom in you.
Right.
We're giving you something to fight it off.
This was reverse, like a, yeah.
Yeah.
So like active artificial and passive artificial kind of the same.
No.
Active artificial, passive artificial. Giving you the problem.
The active artificial, I am giving something to you, in this case it's the virus, and now your own body, your body is gonna start making antibodies to fight off the infection. Does that make sense? Your body's gonna fight it. In passive, your body's not doing anything. I am passive artificial, immunoglobulins, those are antibodies. I'm giving you antibodies directly so that it fights off the infection. You will not prevent it in the future. You're not gonna be able to defend yourself in the future because your body can't do it. I only gave you the immunoglobulins. I gave you the antibody directly.
The fake antibody.
Yes.
So like the.
No, that's here. Because now this will trigger your body to create its own defense. Yeah, this is the immunoglobulins, this, you can think of it almost like antibodies.
The fake one.
Yes, it's a synthetic version, yeah. So in this case, like, let's use the flu as an example. Now, we don't really give immunoglobulins for the flu, but let's say, if I get a flu shot, I'm being exposed to the influenza virus inside my body. So all my cells, right, they see it, and they're like, oh my God, this is something new, it's a disease, whatever the case, and I develop a response. Like, how do I fight it, how do I break it down? So that's why people say, like, they're like, I get sick from the flu shot, or I got a fever. It's your body responding to it. Like, your body's like thinking it's gonna get an infection. But since it's weakened, it quickly fights it off, but it now remembers it. So when you catch the flu now this year, your body can react faster because it's already seen, it's already been exposed. So you see your own body is doing that though from your shot. Now, in passive artificial, I am not giving you a flu vaccine. I am giving you antibodies to fight off the flu, but your body can't. Your body's not getting anything from that. Your body, your cells are not generating that response. I'm giving you basically, like, you can think of it like a cure. I'm giving you the antibodies to fight off the flu. This will help your body create antibodies. This is antibodies directly.
So it's temporary and it's fake.
Yes, and in this one, it's fake, but it generates long-term immunity for you, depending on the organism. The flu is a very rapidly mutating virus. Hence, it's difficult to create one vaccine. Then you have like polio, right? Less mutating, and you only need one shot.
Not like.
So the same thing with the COVID too though, right? It's essentially they're making
Yeah,
different strands.
COVID being a coronavirus, they mutate really rapidly. Hence, we have a seasonal cold
Right.
every year.
We're probably gonna have seasonal COVID eventually.
Right, to keep getting, yeah.
Yeah. Some just mutate more rapidly than anything. I mean, like, we've been hearing about, like, flu used to mutate every year. Every year you'd hear about this new one. It's just nobody put it under a microscope. H1N1, H1N2, and like every year there's a new fucking H1. Like nobody here was running around worrying about the flu vaccine. So it's just some viruses mutate more rapidly than others. HIV mutates really rapidly, not necessarily for new strains, but for resistance. So if you're taking medication for it, but you're skipping around a lot of doses,
You can build a resistance.
the virus learns how to fight off the medication. And therefore the medication doesn't work anymore.
Same reason we have like antibiotic resistance.
For gonorrhea and chlamydia, because people don't take their antibiotic regimen completely, and it survives, and now it learned that, like, how that affected it, and it'll resist it next time. Remember, these organisms are living things, especially bacteria. They do learn, they do adapt,
They're very small.
okay? Now, viruses are not living per se, they're just genetic material floating around. Hence, it's difficult to treat it.
whatever happened to Ebola? I feel like we heard about it very briefly and then.
It's still around, it's just it doesn't spread like that.
Just like COVID.
For active artificial, it doesn't matter if it's live or, you know, for like, for instance,
Live
the
or
flu,
weekend.
it doesn't matter? Okay.
Okay? Are we okay with this?
Yes.
If you face scenarios, you can name the type of immunity?
Yes.
Okay. So everything we've covered today is part of the immunology quiz. Understanding what a shift to the left means, neutrophils, basophils, the types of immunity. And then we'll continue on tomorrow to the actual autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, gout, lupus,